Every family has its secrets, but sometimes these secrets can fester and grow until they explode in ways that shock entire communities. Today, we're diving into the haunting story of the Stockdale family, a story of strict rules, isolation, and a tragic event that would leave 2 family members dead and a son facing the unimaginable. Meet the Stockdale family of Beach City, Ohio, a family that seemed to live a wholesome, picturesque life. Tim and Kathy Stockdale were devoutly religious, and they raised their 4 sons to embody their strong Christian values. They moved to an isolated farmhouse, convinced that they could protect their children from the world's temptations. But for the Stockdale children, this life of rigid rules and intense isolation was anything but idyllic. The boys didn't have friends, didn't go to public school, and couldn't even watch TV or play video games. Their lives revolved around chores, music, and strict routines enforced by their mother, Kathy. Every moment of their day was monitored, and the boys' rare rewards for obedience were simple: a brief moment listening to carefully selected radio shows. In 2008, the Stockdale family appeared on Wife Swap, a reality show known for pairing opposites. Kathy swapped places with a mother who allowed her kids nearly complete freedom. The experience was difficult for both sides. When the new mom, Lori, arrived, she broke down, shocked at the harsh discipline and the boys' limited experience with normal childhood fun. When she introduced video games and TV to them, Jacob, the second oldest son, was overwhelmed. The experience left a mark on the family, though on the surface, things quickly went back to normal. As the years went by, the 2 oldest sons eventually left home, moving far from the farmhouse and starting lives of their own. But by 2017, Jacob and his younger brother James were still living at home. Jacob was 26 years old, but hadn't struck out on his own. Instead, he remained under his parents' control, seemingly trapped by the rules he'd grown up with. Then, on June 15th, 2017, everything changed. At 4:36 p.m., the Stark County Police Department received a strange 911 call from the Stockdale residents. The line went dead before any details were shared, but officers rushed to the scene, worried that something terrible had happened. When deputies arrived, they found the front door ajar. As they stepped inside, they noticed 2 bodies, Kathy and James, lying in a pool of blood. It was a horrifying scene. Jacob, barely alive and suffering from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, was also found inside. It was quickly determined that he was responsible for the brutal killings. Jacob's actions that day left a haunting question: why? After a lengthy investigation, Jacob was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. He claimed insanity, and for several years, questions around his mental state delayed the trial. Eventually, he pleaded guilty, receiving a 15-year sentence for each murder. The Stockdale family's strict lifestyle and extreme isolation may have contributed to Jacob's mental breakdown. Some experts believe that the regimented life enforced by his parents caused psychological trauma that ultimately pushed him to violence. Others suggest that Jacob's life in isolation made it impossible for him to develop a sense of independence, leaving him trapped and desperate to escape his own home. After the tragedy, Tim and his remaining sons released statements expressing grief over the loss of Kathy and James. They chose not to mention Jacob, perhaps showing their heartbreak at the tragedy their family suffered. Today, Jacob remains incarcerated, and while his family has asked for leniency on his behalf, it's unclear if he will ever be fully accepted back into their lives. So, what do you think? Did the Stockdale family's rigid lifestyle drive Jacob to commit this horrific act? Or was it simply the case of a troubled young man? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you're interested in hearing more about tragic and mysterious cases like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. Thanks for watching.